Okay, so let's start a little bit on sacred geometry. Got my phone going. I got my iPad going. So let me just say a few things. First of all, let me tell you again briefly. Hey, Tenderan, what's sacred geometry? Let me make it real simple for you because I know so many people hate math. Sacred geometry are geometric patterns that have formed the universe. If you look at the formation of the universe and what is behind the information and what is behind the energy, you see certain geometric patterns that have formed this universe. They have come from the very heart, thought, mind of source of God. And embedded within those geometric forms are not just 2D forms or 3D symbols that we look at. There is insight and intuition into those forms that bring us into a greater depth and a greater light, being in the world, but not of the world. So these thought forms are symbolized as many different ways. Like I spoke a while back on fire and air in the book of Acts. Those weren't just thoughts that just got spread out there for good preaching or for whatever reason. Those are thought forms from the mind of God, from the mind of source that conveys something that was happening within the consciousness of the people that were in the room. So these sacred geometric forms are to be look past them. So as I started studying them, I began to see them everywhere and expanded a curiosity in me because these were packets of divine consciousness. When I started seeing how they pervaded the universe and the intricacy of how the universe was designed, the intricacy of how I am designed, it arises within me to ascend in consciousness because they hold inside of themselves creativity, thoughts from the mind of God, but they're rarely conveyed in words. Okay, this is energy. This is coming through aha moments. They're suddenly transmitted into your life, which means that you have to be open to the synchronicities. To know about sacred geometry, you have to know that it even exists, so that you open yourself up to seeing things. To learn anything new, you have to first know that it exists, and that opens up your spirit, your consciousness to receive it. So these thought forms will present themselves in mental images and sounds, internal vibrational energy, and that is where we are right now. That is what we're learning. We're learning about resonance. We're learning about frequency because it holds great power in our everyday life, because I am light in a dense substance. As I increase in consciousness, I get less dense and I become more light. That is a rising in consciousness. So when you're going to look at symbols, you're going to look at the language of the mind, okay? So you're going to see a symbol and you're going to see that and you're going to comprehend it in your mind. But if you stay there, you're going to miss what it really wants to show you, because a symbol can be misinterpreted by the ego. It can be used to control. It can be used to set a narrative of fear. It can be used at a very low, dense energy to take away your innovation, to take away your intuition. And there's many symbols in culture right now that have done that. I don't want to betray or belittle anyone that thinks differently about the cross, but the cross throughout history has been used as a pretty exclusionary symbol that started wars, betrayed people, set up hierarchies, divided people, provided means of fear. But when looked at the symbol through the intuition of the heart, we don't discard it. We see it in such a beautiful way because it is the essence of our divine humanity to be lived out right now in our incarnation, and many other ways you may see it. So a symbol gives insight. It comes through the mind, but don't leave it there. Then it enters the heart and it takes us into a greater realm of intuitive insight. Then when it is only comprehended by the mind, it is dense energy. And I have been there, maybe you have been there. So it is a fascinating thing to see sacred geometry, and we're just going to get started. So today, I'm going to do the tree of life. And the reason I'm doing it on Zoom is because I'm going to show you some pictures, because it's better if you're visually seeing this when I'm describing it. So let me say another thing before I show the pictures. The tree of life is a hierarchical structure for all forms in the universe. It's a roadmap of our soul and a roadmap of ascension that was used in ancient wisdom long before Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, as a symbol. It was found to be in the Essenes, which is a Jewish nomadic community, but it was also found in ancient Egypt. So this symbol has been perpetrating throughout humanity because this symbol structurally points us, it's almost like it lines up with our chakras, so that in essence, we become the tree. We become the tree that we ascend as the ladder. And this is not by ego, and it is not by works. It is by being grounded in our humanity while connected to divine source, God. And it is an ascension process that I believe evolves. I don't think I ever arrive. I believe I am ascending, and we're going to show you that on the Tree of Life, because I want to grace you. Your ego is done. Stop trying to please God. Stop trying to search him out. Stop trying to figure it out. Stop trying at some point when you're ready. Stop trying to deconstruct. Do not be a victim anymore. Don't, like, yes, we've all been wounded and abused in whatever way, but at some point we need to rise up in the reality that we are divinely human. And we need to move in that divinity as well as our humanity. And we're going to have to forgive and let go so that it opens up our internal consciousness to receive more synchronicities. Because I'll show you on the Tree of Life, if you stay at a very low vibrational energy, which most of the world now is doing, you're going to live in that narrative. And I don't want to live in that narrative. And I don't think you want to live in that narrative. So the Tree of Life is this, it's a roadmap, okay? It comes from the Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism that deals with the essence of God. I look at all methods of spirituality. I find the truth, I take some, I leave some, and I amalgamate and integrate God within my life. And that God is a God that is so incredible, so awesome. It's because you expand your curiosity to see God in greater ways, greater than religion could ever convey to you, greater than anyone could ever convey to you. This is alive within your being. So in Hebrew, the Tree of Life is a mystical symbol, and it is used to describe the path of God in oneness, no separation. And the Tree of Life is considered to be a map of the universe as well as the map of the psyche. There's a Hermetic principle which says, as above, so below. So as above, you have the macrocosm, and below you have the microcosm, which is a part of the all. I am a part of the all. You are the part of the all. We are in this dense realm, and we can stay in a physicality and a materialism our whole life. No one will force you to change. But if you want to ascend, the Tree of Life shows several things you have to face and you will go through. It is not a step-by-step program. It is a flow. It is an ascension of a connection with the expanding reality of oneness, that you are one with God and you've been placed in this earth for such a time as this to love your humanity and to realize your divinity in the greatest life you will ever know. And when your time is up, you want to realize that this life that you've been in, despite its suffering, despite its joy, despite its sorrow, despite its happiness, has been an extraordinary journey for you and I. So let me start this. Let me share this. I want to make sure you see this. Hold on a second. Give me a minute. Okay. Let me know you see that. I'm going to wait a minute. So this is the Tree of Life. I'm looking on my iPhone. There it is. Now stay with me. I'm not going to be able to see your comments. So I'm not going to really be able to interact with you, but I want to teach you something, and I want to keep it to a good timing. And what this on this side is the Tree of Life. And on the other side is how that Tree of Life, that geometric structure, lines up with the chakras in your energy system. Now, the chakras are the energy system within your being that contain the energy in your body that are connected to glands and different parts of your body. They extend out a certain way because they are within the physical body. But what extends past the chakras are what's called the auric subtle bodies. And those are things that you comprehend intuitively. Those are ways that you rise in consciousness, because you are not just human, you are divine. You are divinely human right now, with the ability to self-regulate your physical being to access higher levels of consciousness, to access knowing God, creator, and to manifest life, your creative expression through the earth. So I'm just starting to study this, so I'm going to go real slow. At the bottom, you see Malkut and Root, and it goes all the way up to Keter, which is the crown. These are 10 spheres, and these 10 spheres are called Sephiroths, and they are the definitive stages of evolution and the divine emanations of the blueprint of the body and the mind and the spirit. So there are 10 of these spheres or Sephiroths, and they go from Malkut to Keter, and that is a path of oneness of the divine energy going up the spinal column of your body, golden strands of energy as you ascend. But I want to take apart this week and next week to help you gain an understanding, in the hopes that it just makes you curious, because I love this. So what does this here mean? This is the tree of life. Let me give you an overview. In the tree of life, there are 3 pillars. It's this way, see, it's going the Hod, the Gevurah, and the Binah on the left-hand side that I'm seeing it. On the right-hand side, you see another pillar going from the bottom to the top. Neza, Hesed, and Hokmah, which is the pillar. And then there's a pillar that goes all the way up through the middle. Those pillars, the one that goes through the middle, is the eternal balance and harmony of your life. Because if you get stuck, which we'll teach next week, if you focus on either side too much, they are polarities which are meant to be drawn together in the center. The goal of our life is to encounter the polarities in life, that which seems opposite. Are you with me? The good and the bad, the sorrow and the joy, the ego and the spirit, those things will always be with us in our incarnation. And if you go more than one way, you're going to be created from ego, and you're going to be creating from dense energy, and you're going to manipulate and control and be a narcissist. If you go the other way, you're going to deny everything, and many New Agers that live in bliss, and they deny anything about their incarnation. It's always spiritual this and spiritual that. But the essence of how you are to live is to go through the middle of the tree of life and to bring those polarities into oneness. That you live a life that is full in your incarnation, acknowledging that there's shadow sides of everything. And the shadow side does exist in you, but it is still part of you. This is not duality. That essence of you going in the middle and you accepting things about yourself as a journey of ascension, not acknowledging that you're going to either go one way or the other. Listen to this quote by Robert Gilbert. He says this. Now look at this tree of life while I'm saying this. To integrate spiritual perceptions, one must be grounded in the physical world in order to integrate them into a person's psyche. Distorted perceptions of spiritual realities, combined with insufficient grounding in the physical body, creates reactions on the mental and emotional planes, which lead to psychological illness. What does that mean? It means that you will only be as spiritual as you are grounded. You will never arise until you accept your grounding in this incarnation, not as an illusion, but as a reality. And until you accept that joy is going to come your way and sorrow is going to come your way, and you're going to deal with these seeming polarities, but out of it, when you rise in the middle and look at your journey of oneness, and you surrender and you trust and you move in the light and you increase and arise in the light, your life will be glorious here and now. But it is never by going one way or the other way. It is going from Malkut all the way to Keter, to the crown. It is allowing the crown, the consciousness of God, the oneness of God, to come down through the flow of your life. Again, I want to repeat, you will never be spiritually astute unless you are grounded. And people that are so spiritual that they have forgot the beauty of their incarnation seem very nebulous to me. Or if you're constantly deconstructing, trying to figure out what the illusion is like, I think you can go insane in your mind. Let's face this one fact, however you see life. You are in this time, for such a time as this, called to arise, called to be divinely human, right here and right now, not tomorrow, not the next day. And when you pull all these things together on the tree of life, you're going to see how your ascent is going to evolve all the time. Take that pressure off yourself to arrive. You're already there. All you need to do is accept life and surrender and move in the synchronies and the vision and the intuition of a greater reality than humanity. So now let's look at some of these things. I don't have a pointer, so I'm going to trust that you can see this. In the tree of life, you have 3 pillars I showed you. If you look at on the right side, you have a line going down, those 3. If you look on the left side, you have a line going down, Bina, Guvara, and Hod. In the middle, you have a line growing up. Those are 3 pillars that show a distinction of a path from heaven down to earth and all the way back. You're constantly ascending. You're constantly ascending in your life. And the pillars on the side, again, I want to stress, those are the polarity of mercy and severity, of passion and love, of anger and coherence. Because, folks, that's life. That is life in the here and now. If we think we're going to avoid suffering, we're going to get on a blissful train that is never going to give us any depth in life. Depth in life comes from the realization of your divinity while moving in your humanity. And that light increases around you to affect your atmosphere and to affect people around you. Now, from Malkut to Keter, the crown to the base of the abdomen is a central column holding a golden thread of divine energy. There are chakras on both sides of this column that spin like a wheel as energy centers and spinning vortices. Energy centers can only hold a certain amount of energy. Energy centers outside the human body can hold higher degrees of energy. And then the circles that you see, those are called Sephiroth. Those are definitive stages of evolution, divine emanations, the blueprint of body, mind, and spirit. In this tree of life, there are 22 paths that are connecting lines into trinities and triads. So what is this? This is life, and this is ascension. So now I want to know, I hope you're with me. Tell me you're with me before I go on, because this is kind of different. I'm not able to see you. Now I'll go slower. So if I was a teacher in a classroom, I'd have something I could point to, but it's hard to point to this right now. I don't think you can see me pointing to this. You can't. All right, so let's look at this. Look at the lower triad, the Malkut, the Yesod, the Neza, and the Hod. That's 4 dots at the bottom, all somewhat orange, all somewhat yellow. But if you look above Malkut, which is the root, you're going to see a triangle. It says sacral, solar plexus, and that forms a triangle. Those 3 dots form a triangle. So those combine to what is called the root, sacral, and solar plexus, which if you look at the body, are the bottom 3. That's the physicality of who you are. That is who you are in this earth realm. That is connected to different organs and different things in the way you experience your incarnation. So these are lower dense energies. They're like shadows. They take the light, they open themselves up to creative energy from a higher self. Now, am I saying you're dual? No. But I'm going to use that word higher self like it's coming from a place outside of your awareness. Okay, so you are becoming aware you are opening up the lower physicality of your body to realize that there is a greater reality than living in the physical realm. This is what Braden talks about. This is what Bruce Lipton talks about, that you can self-regulate your body through energy, through higher ascended thoughts, that even though that lower triangle and that root Malkut are in the physical realm, physicality, you still can self-regulate within a higher realm of divinity. Those I am statements, practicing gratitude, knowing who you are, living healthy, eating healthy, being healthy, not buying a narrative of fear and living in a lower dense vibrational reality, enjoying nature, enjoying the sun, getting out. Those are all that contribute to your physicality of wellness, and they play an ability in how you receive things. Because if you're always hunkered down in your sickness or depression, which please, I know those are valid. Please hear me with compassion. But if you're always defining yourself by your victimhood, you're never going to rise up to the heart level, because you will never perceive higher dimensions of reality from those four things down. That lower triangle only perceives things through physicality, and that is what instills fear. This is what the world is living in right now. This fear that is perpetrated to engage us on every single side, denying our divinity, and constantly attacking our sovereignty, making us feel like we're in this body and we're stuck with it and everything's going to control us, from government to religion. That's bullshit, folks. You have power in your divinity, but you have to learn to understand things by the heart, not just the mind. Because the heart here in the middle, this Tiferet, that's connected to everything, which basically says that you cannot understand anything without the energy of the heart. And that is called heart coherence. The mind sees it, the heart believes it. And it is the heart that connects with the quantum field. That is why everything on here is connected to the heart. Listen, you can't understand polarities unless it's going through the heart. When you've been issued an injustice, let's say your first response is to be angry, and you're going to go the way of ego, but forgiveness says, no, go another way. Stay in the middle of that wisdom where you're ruled by your heart, which will then affect your physical body. Anger will stir up emotions. It will raise blood pressure. Stress will affect your body. But if you stay heart focused, it's like no sweat off you. It's like you don't have, it doesn't matter anymore. You're going to move in forgiveness. You're going to increase in light, and you're going to choose, rather than choosing one side or the other of division, you're going to choose to walk in the middle, not compromising. That middle path is a path of power. It is not a path of weakness. To understand how these polarities on both sides flow into the middle is going to take a realization on your part to grow in consciousness. So in that lower triangle of well, let me go to this one. Hold on. This will be easier. In that lower triangle of number 10, Malkuth, see the bottom? In that lower triangle of 10, that is the root. That is the lower dense energy awareness. It is your shadow self. It is where your personality is learned behaviors that we have been programmed with in life, coping strategies and masks that we hide who we really are, because we're living in a realm that we are dictated through everything through our five senses. There is no credence in the senses that are spiritual. We're going to believe only what our five senses tell us. So we're going to buy all the fear that the news media and all the lies that are being perpetrated all around us. we're going to live in that realm. We're going to hunker down, and we're not really going to live. We're going to live in fear, able to be controlled. But this, when it's opened up, is actually where the manifestation of the kingdom comes to play. This is where you get healed. This is where your healing centers start, when you are then influenced by higher degrees of consciousness in number 6, which is the heart. You are influenced, and it goes down, and it causes your vision to expand and your awareness to expand. So 10 at the bottom, called Malkut, is the physical world of body and health. It is the manifestation of God's glory within that gives, listen, that gives tangible forms to the other emanations. Because you see, this is all light. When light is flooding into you, you are going to manifest something. Are you manifesting your light? Are you manifesting your light? So this is the beginning of manifestation. When you look at 7, 8, and 9, you're going to deal with emotions, desires, passion, imagination, and you're going to bring them all into coherence of the heart. And you're going to realize your creative expression in life. You're going to realize that you're in, please know this, if you get nothing else, please know that it is not by accident you are in time for such a time as this. This is the greatest shaking and waking up I think people have ever done, if you truly can see that there's so much chaos, you can't even connect the dots. Things are going crazy. The Earth's magnetic structure is falling apart. There are physical anomalies of magnetic things happening on the Earth. Folks, I've been studying all this. And by scientists. So the Earth is groaning, folks. The Earth is groaning for the manifestation of the sons of God. And you can't be a son with full divinity flowing through you if you're not going to deal with your shit. I don't know how else to say it. You've got to learn to forgive. You've got to learn to walk in power, in wisdom, knowing when to be still, when to speak, not to fight every battle, knowing to be discerning enough what to believe, knowing how to control your emotions and being balanced, not to jump on every bandwagon of political thought, trying to wave a banner that they're right and I'm wrong. There's this duality that is moving in such power, and you do not want to be a part of it. So when we look at this, 7, 8, and 9, we're going to see that this is called the astral triangle. It's called the astral triangle, number 7, number 8, and number 9. And this is where form begins. This is where emotion plays part. This is where the intellectual reality plays part. This is the essence of manifesting in your physicality, your dreams, your imagination, your learning, your intellect. This is built upon understanding math and symbols from an intuitive level. This is getting control of your feelings and emotions, to not deal in fear or stress. It's harmony and balance. This is the lower triangle, and it's called the astral triangle. And it's where form begins. And until you bring those all into balance, like I said, I'm going to repeat, if you never rise higher into the heart, which is number 6 up the tree, if you never rise higher and you're always at that low vibrational, that will affect your vision, and it will affect your perception of how you see things. So my encouragement to you is just bring it on. Go and do your inner analysis. See what triggers you, and don't just speak about it. What triggers you? Why are you doing the things you're doing? Don't look to anybody else to tell you. You may need help, but something occurred the other day in my life, and I had to analyze, why does this bother me? And I was taken back into childhood, that there is this recurring pattern in my life that keeps happening. And every time it happens, I get triggered and speak really fast with a little bit of anger, because I have not surrendered that to the all. I have not surrendered. I look at it, I see it, I give myself lots of self-love, I forgive myself and others, and I rise up so that that could be left behind, and it is not something that I constantly encounter. We are a nation of victims. Please don't be a victim. Let's play testimony. Who's had the worst life? You don't know, because we've all been through crap. We've all been through stuff. And so it's so easy to play the victim because that leaves us stagnant. But those that are moving ahead in this awakening are going to begin to rise, and they're going to be powerful. They're going to be unmoved. They're going to be healed warriors that are going to walk in harmony and balance, and they're not going to sell out their sovereignty or divinity for anybody. And they're not going to have to justify it or qualify it. They're going to be silent warriors at times. You don't have to prove yourself to everybody. You don't have to make sure everybody understands you when I'm talking to me. So that lower triangle is called the astral triangle. And that's, now let's move up. Let's look at let's look at this in greater detail. Let's look at 6, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. This is called the middle of the tree of life. This is an ascension higher. And I've studied it. And as I've studied it, it says that this middle triangle, once we begin to rise all through life, not just one time, all through life, once we begin to rise, what's going to happen is we're going to start really seeing our core self in the heart. And we're going to see that how much is trying to come at us through various institutions that are trying to knock us off. So this is an area of grounding. The heart is more powerful. That's the heart chakra is more powerful than the brain. Thousands of times more electrical than the brain. It is a place of power. So when this triad of 4, 5, and 6 is healed, it gives us the courage to face our fears, our vulnerabilities, and our weaknesses. Because you see, when all this is stirring on 7, 8, and 9, and we're suddenly becoming aware that, let's say there's a cost to it. You know, I don't want to sound religious. I don't want to sound like you have to follow a program. But, you know, come on. Social media has made us these keyboard warriors that we post this stuff and nobody really knows if we're legit. Nobody sometimes really knows, are we being honest? Have we gone through this stuff to be able to say the words that we're speaking? Trust me, I've gone through it. You know, anybody that knows me knows I've gone through it. So when I look up above and I see that I need to come into unity with my heart and not a linear mindset. Well, what does 4, 5, and 6 mean? It's called the ethical triangle. 4, 5, and 6. Tiferet, Hesed, and Geburah is called the ethical triangle. On one side, it's mercy. On one side, it's severity. And it's supposed to emulate Christ consciousness. This is a place that there is beauty and the possibility of devotion when we move in harmony. And it's a great work. This is our path of progression, despite any obstacles that we may face until we truly reclaim our divinity. This is a constant place of evolution, a constant place of healing, a constant place of awareness, a stirring of an increase in light in you without any guilt and condemnation. There is therefore no guilt or condemnation in this. You are rising and you are receiving and you are flowing and you are healing. So right now, give yourself a whole lot of grace just to be you, just to be you, just to be you. So in this place, we embrace constant growth and progression. These are the chakras. This is the heart and the throat. This is a higher realm. But do you see where that word says dot? There's an abyss right there, folks, which we'll talk about next week. And that abyss is crossing over into 1, 2, and 3, which is really unity and divinity and limitlessness. And maybe we will cross over or maybe we won't. I don't know. I haven't thought it through, but it is there. Can I walk in the beauty of my divinity in my humanity by constantly being aware that I am in process and I am not an illusion? I'm so tired of these messages that always, it sounds so cool to say, I'm an illusion and time is an illusion. No. I'm in an incarnation and I'm observing my reality and I'm looking at the pain of my past. And I want to live a life filled with light because, folks, it's all about service. This is not a self-awareness that makes you selfish because you cannot help but move in a realm of pure service unto humanity and unto the earth itself and unto the universe in God when you realize these things. And you cannot stay silent, but you will walk in wisdom and you will walk in a rhythm of grace. So at this point, 4, 5, and 6, this is the mediation point between the above and the below. It is a point of union. Listen. Oh boy, I sound like a teacher here. I sound like when I was teaching biology. Listen. This is a point of union, 4, 5, and 6, between our lower and higher self. Are you two selves? Absolutely not. You're one. But your awareness is not open yet to receive certain things. And there's always shadow things as we evolve. So there are not two of you. There is only one of you. And there is much that is latent, lying dormant in you, ready to be untapped. But those things will only untap when the awareness of God, source, number 1, comes down to 10, 9, 7, and 8, makes you aware to where you surrender to the healing. And then you rise over that abyss in certain areas to receive higher levels of divine consciousness. That you cross that chasm, because to cross that chasm, it's not work, it is surrender, it is trust, and it is love, and it is wisdom, and it is grace, and it is everything that is the epitome of the beauty of our humanity. So that point, that middle triangle, the ethical triangle, number 4, 5, and 6, mediates between the above and the below. This is about healing, to rise and ascend. This is where you ask questions. Once healing clears the energy, and this is what I did the other day. I keep looking to see if you guys are still with me. Okay, so the other day when I hit this wall and I had to turn these things over to my heart, I was so in the lower realm. It was such a low vibrational energy. I felt worthless. And don't tell me you don't, we want to be so spiritual that we haven't reconciled the polarities in our own life, that some days I feel brilliant and some days I don't. So how do I bring that all together in the harmony of my oneness? Well, I had to realize what was going on in my life, and I had to start asking questions. Why is it happening like this? What do I need to see? What do I need to forgive? Why am I here? I actually sat down and I said, I have no clue. I don't even know why I'm studying this. I mean, I love it. I don't know if anybody else loves it. And suddenly I realized that's all I needed. That's all I needed to resonate in the energy in which I was flowing. I didn't need an audience. I need to broadcast me, and you need to broadcast you in humility and grace, not to force anything on. I knew that the people that are interested in this, they're going to run further with it. You're going to run further in your curiosity, and you're going to hit that path, and suddenly you're going to find out something that's been inside you for the longest time that you have not given yourself the permission to expand in. Because I think I said in that Facebook post, I didn't even give myself the permission to expand in that which I love. So I'm watching the time, and we're going to do part 2 next week. So 6, no, let's go 4. 4, Hesed, is love and mercy. It is how to learn true compassion. It is expansion. It is benevolence. It is kindness. But if you stay in that realm, you're kind of hiding. You're not going to, you can't always be that way. It's a delusion. You're going to encounter different emotions that are a polarity to what you feel you should be like, or else you're just lying to yourself. You can proclaim a lot of the I am statements, but to fully move in the reality of an I am statement, you're going to have to reconcile those polarities within you. So you look at 5. What does 5 mean? It's Geburah. It's power and severity. It's the exact opposite sometimes of number 4. It's the divine will. It clashes with the lower self. It creates tension. Passion is built on violence. But when those paths go right through the heart, you're going to make that passion filled with so much energy of kindness that there's going to come an explosion of power through this triangle. But left to themselves, they are of no value, because this is all one. This is all the ultimate reality of who you are. And you have to deal with these polarities that appear to be opposites. Maybe I should people please everybody. Maybe I should be kind to everybody. Maybe I should hate everybody. Maybe I should love everybody. Those are all just words, folks. We're propounding all these words on Facebook, and are they dealing with our hearts? Can I really love you? Obviously not, because we've got a country in total division that everybody's shouting each other down. Nobody's listening. There's no critical thinking. Right away, the first response is to hate and to form an opinion and to form a judgment. You will never ascend doing that. You have to know when to be quiet and when to talk. You have to take those polarities that when you get angry, you acknowledge that this pisses you off, but it doesn't affect. You don't move in the ego of that and build a platform deconstructing and saying everything wrong with Christianity. You're constantly, they're constantly like, you build a platform on one or the other and you're going to be ineffective. But to move in the beauty, to take those polarities and to move them into the heart is powerful. So what is number 6? The Tiferet is the heart, and we've learned about heart coherence. We know that it is attached to all, but it says the bottom. Now I have to search that out. It is beauty, and it's the balanced part of you, trying to connect within, to awaken intuition, to awaken a higher divine love. This is the place that you want to bring everything through. When you do not know what to do, you ask your heart. You breathe, you do meditation, you do contemplation, you quiet down to prepare yourself for action. You ask your heart, what is this going on? If you don't ask your mind is seeing this in a linear realm. It's seeing this at a lower energy. Your heart knows you more than your mind does. That's why everything goes through the heart. God cannot even reach you unless it goes through the heart. The manifestation of who you are, everything that you're experiencing in this physicality will never manifest unless it goes through the heart. It all goes through the heart. Now, there's just too much. But I want you to look at something before I go back to seeing you guys again. I want you to look very carefully at that word dot. This is right above the higher self and the lower self, which is one. One has a lesser quality of light being allowed in, because if you're moving in a low vibrational energy, you are denser light in your physicality. Can you move in higher energy? Sure, Jesus did. In his physical body, whatever you believe, when he was on the Mount of Transfiguration, his chakras lined up and they produced that transcendent quality about him. So can you live divinely human? Yes, I believe you can. I don't know how that's going to happen, but I believe you can. So I want to talk to you about dot, and then I want to end this and I want to finish next week, but I want to show you that next week we're also going to talk about the chakras and how that all ties in with what I just said, that every chakra in your ascent is going to solidify who you are. This is who I am. This is how I feel. This is how I think. This is how I desire. This is how I will my beliefs into action. And this is how I move into love until I come to the awareness in certain realities of my life that I am, that I am. And then we're also going to talk about the 3 triangles. So now remember the dot. Okay, now hold on a second. Got to get this all arranged. Just give me a minute, because I'm on Zoom. Like I said, it's like a different. Okay, now I'm back. Let me end with this, because I want to keep it shorter today. There's just so much. So this place, this abyss, it's called the abyss in this tree of life, and it's the point at which you have to cross what appears to be a chasm. I don't know. I haven't studied it yet. What do I think that chasm is? Intuitively, I think it's the surrender of who I am, of what I believe, of what I think. It's the surrender of trust. It's the surrender to move in love. It's the surrender to acknowledge who I am in my polarities, but to move in a greater ascension of light and be the peacemaker without compromising who I am. This tree of life is never going to compromise who you are. It's going to stand by who you are, because this is your individual unique self. So let me end with this dot. This place This is what they call this chasm, and what's behind it, we'll go into it more next week, is a place of hidden knowledge. It's gnosis. Do you ever wonder why the patriarchs hid all those gospels? The Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Mary Magdalene and the Gospel of Philip and all the other ancient writings? Because it was gnosis. It appealed to the heart and the intuitive nature of who you are. They wanted to keep you anchored down in a low vibrational, literal religion that you didn't have to think, you didn't have to create, you didn't have to do anything. You lived in duality and you lived in a polarity. You know, one day you're nice, one day you're angry, and you never centered those polarities in the middle. It was a waste. Somebody posted something on Facebook today. I didn't really deconstruct, folks. I didn't go through trauma. What I went through was saying, this is bullshit, I'm leaving. It was a decision on my part. I have nothing against Christianity. It brought me to the point where I was, until I started seeing the fallacy of some of the teachings of heaven and hell and the ridiculousness with which there was such exclusion. How arrogant to think that you're going to call this nation a Christian nation while you have Muslims and Hindus and Buddhists and every some sort, and you're going to say, you have the audacity to say at such a low vibrational level that the whole world's got to get saved. Oh my God, I'm not even going to go there, because that is what drew me to exploration. And that is what drew me to curiosity. And that is what drew me to joy and peace. So that gnosis, that hidden knowledge, has been hidden from us, but no more. They're no longer secret initiation rites. This truth is not being held back. It is available to all who want to sit at the table and dine. It is available to all who want to partake and grow. But to get to that point, we're going to have to deal with ourselves, our inner motives, our heart promptings, our hate, as well as our love. We're going to have to deal with that which is causing a division within us. So this place, before we get to the top, this dot, it is about service, empowering others to progress toward divinity. It is the experience of the divine self. It brings us into what's called the supernal triad. We are loved, we are accepted, and we are embraced by the divine love of God. But there is a responsibility that comes with this knowledge. And we don't maybe like to hear that, because we think it's this free-for-all now, and we can post anything we want and say, act like we're gurus to everybody else and masters of the universe. But you know, there's a responsibility to walking in the divine presence and to walking in oneness. And it takes wisdom, and it takes growth, and it takes a certain level of maturity to forgive people and to keep moving on, and sometimes to be silent while you're doing it. That takes an intuitive nature to connect within a Christ consciousness or God. So reclaiming the crown of our divinity brings with it a responsibility. This is what it says as I studied. So you want to cross that chasm. You're not going to cross it and make a ministry for yourself on Facebook proclaiming how you know everything, starting conferences and trying to hustle and make money over your gnosis. That, folks, is not going to happen. It's going to be done in ego, which means you've never ascended. You've just read the right stuff and you're able to mimic it out. But for those who are really changed, you're going to see the glow on their face. You're going to see the light emanating from them. You're going to feel safe in their presence to be yourself, because in this place of crossing over, and we do it many times, this isn't a one-all-be-all thing. There are areas in which we're apprehending the evolution of oneness that is going to require service, and not as we've been taught in government, culture, or religion. It is service unto mankind to, without any hesitation, to just flow along your path of light and your wisdom to be who you're called to be. Wow, this is new to me. I can't say this was an easy flow. I hope this made sense. I loved it. That's why I'm going to stay with it for a while. Repetition is good. This was so new to me that I just studied and studied and studied and wrote all these notes until finally everything started blending together, and I started seeing the reality. And I just scratched the surface, folks. But I'm just going to stir your curiosity, and in the coming days, we're going to keep talking about this. We're going to talk about what the circle means. What's the Vesica Pisces? You're going to be astounded, because it emulates what the power of the crucifixion was in geometric form, not what we've been led to believe. What's fire? What's water? Now, my purpose in this is just simple. My heart cry is very simple and very pristine. Finally, it's just to see you walk in your creative expression. Why is that? Because I didn't for so long. And it feels so good that if I can help those way sooner than what I did, I want to help you know that it's okay to be you. You got a little bit of changing to do. We're going to love you through it. We're going to love you when you reject us. We're going to love you when you don't love us. We're going to love you through it. But it's time to speak truth to one another, not what we want to hear. Good mothers and fathers, if you're a good parent, you're going to speak truth to your kid. So it's like, that's what I do. So I hope that you love this. I hope you got something from it. I will read the comments later. And next week, we're going to continue on this journey. Join me on this journey. It's going to be good. Love you guys. Have a remarkable day and a great weekend.